Hello class, today we're going to be looking at part 11 of our curriculum review. This is the second part of volume. So today we're going to be talking about volume of pyramids, cones, and spheres. But first let's look at the quote that's on the screen. It says, difficulties are meant to rouse, not discourage. The human spirit is to grow strong by conflict. Difficulties are meant to rouse, in other words, kind of spark something on the inside, bring something up, cause you some emotional ties to everything, not to discourage. It's meant to encourage. Okay, the human spirit is to grow strong by conflict. Well, right now we're in lots of conflict. Okay, and all we're doing is growing. I know. So just remember, difficulties are part of life. It's just something we got to get through. Okay, so here's another one of our difficulties: volume. Okay, so again, yesterday we talked about our formulas, and again, this is our formula chart. Today we're going to be looking at pyramids, cones, and spheres. So when you look down here at the pyramid and cone, you'll notice the volume formula is the same one that we had yesterday, area of the base times the height. But what we want is 1/3 of that, because we know the pyramid and the cone is 1/3 of its parent figure, the prism and the cylinder. And then the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's see if we can remember what we did when we used those formulas. So here's our first problem. We've got a nice little pyramid. So yesterday we had 3 steps. The first thing you had to do is identify the shape. And in this particular one, this is a pyramid because it has only one base and it comes to a point. But we have to make sure we give its descriptor. Okay, this is what kind of a pyramid. So we look at its base. Okay, this is a rectangular, or in this particular case, a square pyramid. Okay, so when we look at our formula of volume is equal to capital B H, but we also need what of this? We only need 1/3 of this, so we need to remember that part. Okay, so again, this capital B stands for area of the base. In this case, since it's a rectangle, we would end up having the formula 1/3 length times width, or base times height, okay, times the height of the actual figure, or the distance from the base to the farthest point away from the base. So in this particular one, we would plug in our information. 1/3 times, well, the length of the base is 11, the width of the base is also 11, and the distance from that base to the farthest point away is 12. So then you would take your calculator and you would do 11 times 11 times 12 and then divide that by 3. And when you do that correctly, you should come up with 484. And in this case, we've got centimeters. Now, since we're dealing with volume, it's still centimeters cubed. So 484 centimeters cubed. So it's just a matter of plugging in the information and then solving for what you don't know. In this particular one, we don't know volume. Okay, and remember, to find 1/3 of something, it's just divide the answer by 3. Okay. Now, there's some other pyramids that we have to kind of be aware of. Okay, here's several other examples of some pyramids. This one is not a square pyramid. This one is a true rectangular pyramid. So when you're using that formula, you would use 2 times 5 for your length and your width. Now, this one over here is a triangular pyramid. So our area of the base is not going to be length times width. It would be the 1/2 base times height. Okay, so, and remember, the base and the height of that triangle are always going to be the ones touched by that right angle. Okay, so this particular problem does give us some extra information. This 10 right here is not something that we really need to have. And then this one down here, this one is a pentagonal pyramid. Now, luckily, we don't have to do anything with this particular one, okay, but you need to know that it's there and that we could have one like that. Okay. Anytime in 8th grade that if they were to give you something like this, they would give you the area of that base. They would give you the capital B. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. But there is pyramids that look like this. Next figure that we have to do, a cone. Okay, now a cone is the same basic thing as a pyramid. So our formula is the same. Okay, it's 1/3 capital BH. And if you go back to that formula chart, you see that the formula is for a pyramid or a cone. But in this particular problem, we know our base is going to be a circle. So we got volume is equal to 1/3, and then our area formula for a circle is pi r squared, and then you multiply that by the distance between the base and the farthest point away from the base. Okay, so volume is equal to 1/3, and the number that we use for pi is 3.14. We're going to continue doing that in this particular lesson, times the radius squared. Now, This one over here, if you'll notice in this particular circle here in the base, I gave you a diameter. So the diameter is all the way across, but what I need is the number that represents halfway across, which in this case is 9. So we would do 9 times 9 times, and then the distance between the base and the farthest point away from the base is 18. So in this particular problem, you would type in 3.14 times 9 times 9 times 18, get an answer, and then divide that by 3. And if you do that correctly, you end up with 1,526.04 miles cubed. So the volume in this particular one is 1,526.04 miles cubed, because it is cubed, okay, because we're still dealing with 3 dimensions. Okay, and then the last figure that we're going to talk about today is a sphere. Now, if we were to go back and look at our formula for a sphere, it says 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, again, the nice thing that I've always taught you about a formula is it's just plugging in what we know. In this one, we're looking for volume, so volume equals, the 4/3 comes along for the ride. We'll talk about how to deal with that in just a moment, times pi, which is 3.14, times r cubed. Now again, in this particular one, you were given a diameter. So in order to find the radius of this particular sphere, you have to take the 15.6 and divide that by 2. And if you do that, you end up with 7.8. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cube that. Okay, now I didn't have enough room to be able to write that out 3 times. But you would need to do that on your calculator, 7.8 times 7.8 times 7.8, or do 7.8 cubed. Okay? So in this one, you would type in 3.14 times 7.8 cubed, or 7.8 times 7.8 times 7.8, whichever one you prefer. Get an answer. Okay? And now in order to do 4/3, we need to remember that all you do is do times 4, divide by 3, and then hit enter again. And if you do that correctly, you end up with 1986 point, and your calculator gives you a lot of information there. Okay, 1986, but I know since I'm looking for rounding to the nearest tenth, I only need to look to the 2 decimal places. So the 2 after this decimal are 7 and 9. Now this 9 is what I'm looking for in order to round to the nearest tenth. So it's the hundredths place. So this 9, if it's 5 or more, then I know I'm going to take this 7, I'm going to make it 1 more. So in this particular case, our volume would be 1986.8, and in this case, inches cubed, because we're still dealing with volume. Okay. So what we've talked about today is how to find the volume of a pyramid. Okay, and this particular one was a rectangular pyramid, but you could have others, such as triangular pyramids and rectangular pyramids, and those awful pentagonal pyramids. Okay, we've talked about how to find the volume of a cone, which is the same exact formula, but we know our base is going to be a circle. And we've now talked about how to find the volume of a sphere, which we know is just 4/3 pi r cubed. So what I'd like for you to do on your assignment today is you've got 3 questions basically. Okay, so I'd like for you to either go to this particular link, okay, or click on the link in Classroom and then fill out the questions. And you've got 3 questions for me to do today. Okay, again, don't pay attention to the numbers that are here. Okay, this one right here, it says a 3, but this is really question number 1. This one's question number 2, and this one's not question number 10. It's actually question number 3. So don't pay any attention to those numbers. Pay attention to any rounding rules that it may say. Okay, so these are multiple choice questions, so they're pretty simple to do. Okay, so make sure you get those complete. I've been very pleased with how you've been working on these questions so far. Keep up the good work. We did find out that school is shut down until at least May 3rd. So our next opportunity to go back to school would be like May 6th, I believe, something like that. I can't remember. But we are going to be home all the way through April. So just kind of be paying attention to how things are going on. We'll continue to put lessons out. I know hopefully in the very near future we will be doing new curriculum and new material for you to learn. So just kind of be prepared for that. There are some things that you just have to know in order to be prepared for algebra for next year. Okay? So until next time, have a good day.